Hi there, my name is Matti Sulanto. I'm a photographer based in Helsinki, Finland. In this video, I'm gonna take a look at this Laowa 7.5mm f2 super wide angle for the Micro Four Thirds system. One more thing before I begin. This lens is not mine, it's on loan from the Finnish importer Foca. Thanks Foca. And they are not paying for me to do this. I'm just doing this because I like to share this with you guys. The lens itself is in a vacuum bag when you open the box. And that's the first time I've ever seen anything like that. But I guess it's some sort of assurance that it's in pristine stage when you first time open it. This lens has 13 elements in 9 groups, and there are spherical elements and special glass elements. But the most interesting part to me was the so-called frog eye coating on the front element. I have no idea how they came up with that name, but it certainly sounds unique compared to some of those really high-tech coatings that some other brands are using, some other lens brands. The construction of this lens really looks like high quality. It's all metal, the fittings are tight, there are no unnecessary free play anywhere. It gives a really good first impression. It has a nice dense feeling to it. It feels heavy for its size, even though it's only 160 grams. With the hood. Apparently, there are 2 versions of this lens. A standard version at 170 grams and then a lightweight version at 150 grams. That 20 grams doesn't seem significant even on a drone, but I guess you get a few more seconds of flight time with the lighter lens. I'm not really sure which one this is, but I guess this is the lightweight because of the weight. If you take off the hood, I think this comes pretty close to 150 grams. This is a really tiny lens and it looks almost comical on a G9 for example. But it should be a good pair for even one of those really small Micro Four Thirds camera bodies. The filter thread is 46mm, but you need a relatively low profile filter, otherwise you get vignetting or dark corners. This tiny hood is not much of a hood, but it protects the front element which is bulging out. The closest focusing distance is 12 centimeters from the sensor and about 6 centimeters from the front element. So it's pretty easy to touch something with the hood, especially when you're composing your close-up shot through the viewfinder and you can't really see what's going on in front of the lens. The hood has a bayonet fitting. And it gets a little bit tighter when you turn it to its position, but I feel there should be a more firmer, definite click at the end to secure it in place. Now it's a bit too easy to turn it by accident, and because of the very wide angle of view, you can easily get it into your shot, and that's a bummer when you realize that after you get back from your shoot and you open up your images in your favorite post-processing software and you see that there's a tiny little black thing sticking out in one of the or 2 of the corners. Also, the lens cap is a bit hard to use with the hood. I think a plastic or rubber flexible cap that would slide over the hood would be a much better choice or solution. The focus ring is really smooth, but it's a bit too tight to my taste. But then on the other hand, when you set it at certain distance, it's not easy to turn it unintentionally and get some out of focus shots. The aperture ring is very close to the lens mount and it's a bit slippery and hard to use even with bare hands. But when I was out there shooting and I had gloves on, it was almost impossible to turn the ring with gloves. I wish it was a bit wider or had more substantial grip area or a tab or something to allow better control. It is, after all, one of the main controls when it comes to exposure. This is an all-manual lens. No electronic contacts whatsoever between the lens and the camera body. And that means the lens or the aperture info is not saved with the image file. It also means that the manual focus magnification aid in the viewfinder or on the rear screen is not automatic. You have to activate it manually if you want to use it. However, the focus peaking works just fine. The only time you really need to be careful with the focusing is when you're shooting wide open and or at close distances. If you stop down a bit to about f4, f5.6 and your subject is more than 2 meters away, you get so much depth of field that you can easily just set the distance using the scale on the lens and you're good to go. Shooting that way is a lot of fun. It's the ultimate point and shoot experience. Naturally, there's no image stabilizer in this lens, but since it's a super wide, it doesn't need it really badly. And your camera body probably has IBIS anyway, so that takes care of that. There is vignetting clearly visible, wide open, but I've said it before, I'm not sensitive to that. But your tolerance may vary. If you stop down to about f5.6, the vignetting shouldn't be a problem anymore, even if you are sensitive to that. There is some barrel distortion, but it's not really distracting or visible unless you have straight lines running along the edges of the frame. The distortion is pretty linear, so it's really easy to correct in any post-processing software at the cost of minor cropping. The contrast and sharpness are really good even wide open in the mid part of the frame, but the corners are a bit soft. I would still use the wide open f2 aperture without any hesitation if I needed to or wanted to. Because most of the time the main subject is in the center part of the frame anyway. If you are into astrophotography, you may not be happy with the optical performance wide open across the frame, but I'm just guessing here because I haven't tried astrophotography. Stopping down to f4, f8 range gives you the most uniform sharpness across the frame. Beyond that, the diffraction takes the best sharpness off, but there is almost no need to stop down that far anyway. Backlight is not a big problem, but you may get some ghosting and reflections if the sun hits the front element from the side or at steep angle. My conclusion is that this is a very nice super wide angle for the Micro Four Thirds system. There are some handling problems with the aperture ring and the lens shade, but they are not serious enough to be deal breakers. The optical performance is good. The maximum aperture is fast. The mechanical construction seems fine too, and the compact size makes this highly portable. Manual focusing shouldn't drive anyone away from this little lens, because after some practice it's really no problem. So, if you're looking for a compact, fast, super wide for your Micro Four Thirds camera, this could be it. The price is in €500 range, which looks good to me. I really hope this helps you with your buying decision. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.